Okay, so I guess officially welcome one more time. Also to those who are watching this later, my name is Katrin. For those of you who don't know me, I am a body worker and movement teacher and facilitator and mentor. I'm based in Lisbon, but also do a few things online, some of my trainings around trauma-informed practices are usually online, so some of you know me that way. And I am in the process of launching a kind of part of my work that, in a way, I've been doing for years naturally. But I want to give it some form of structure so people can really choose to engage with it. And that is around mentorship, because I run so many trainings and I have done over the years. To some people, when you train people, you end up becoming a little bit of their mentor in some way, in small ways, here and there, or maybe in bigger ways over longer periods of time. It really varies. And to many people, I'm not a mentor at all, but it's still a natural thing that kind of just began to happen. And so that made me think, and I've been thinking about this for some years now, to yeah, give it a format so people can engage with it and that I can offer this continuation that it's really important to me that when people train with me that they actually then do what they've trained and turn it into a practice, and it's not just something that they did and then they kind of sort of falls away again. And personally, from my experience, we as practitioners, space holders, facilitators, we need support. It's not work that is meant to be done alone. And I stand by that statement. We hold so much space, but who holds space for us, right? So that was kind of the idea behind it. That is the idea behind Elevate, the membership. It will be online, a space for, yeah, all of us to basically be seen, to be heard, for meaningful dialogue. This is not about creating a space where I teach even more. This is really where we all come together and talk. And also part of the offering will be that I will be inviting a few guest speakers. So there will be kind of like some webinars, because there's always other people that can inspire us. So this webinar is effectively also a little bit of a taste of what it might be like to be inside Elevate, but there's absolutely no pressure. There's no sales funnel at the end of this. You're not going to get 20 emails from me after this to convince you to join. I'm just happy you're here. And, maybe it's also a little test run for me to see how all of these ideas actually land. And it's been really wonderful to get people's feedback and ideas and responses to my questions and surveys. And that really helped me shape the whole program, really. So, and because I have been asking all of these questions, something became very, very apparent, and that is that a lot of people, maybe you too, I don't know, but seem to be really struggling with all of the work behind the work. So that kind of the marketing stuff, the business stuff, the how do I get my client base? How do I get a community? How can I be visible, but without it feeling so yucky and so salesy and just horrible? In fact, most of us have probably started to do what we do, the work that we do, because we wanted to literally turn our back to all of that and have nothing to do with it, because it's kind of part of this horrible world that we are so activated by most of the time. So if we haven't got a background in marketing and business, how are we supposed to know all of this? And it's just super overwhelming and doesn't feel very good. So there is a lot to say about this and a lot of webinars to do. So this is just a short little, yeah, my kind of like where do I see the starting point? What it was for me that really, really shifted things. And it shifted also because I got help. This didn't shift because I did it by myself. I want to be really, really clear on that. I'm more than happy. I was actually thinking about that this morning to put a list together of all of the coaches that have really inspired me and that I still follow, that I am kind of working with. to a greater or lesser degree, and to pass those on, and you please check them out. But this is, you know, not something that I came up with by myself and that didn't just click. I think the work behind the work we also need to get help with, for sure, because these questions are important. Because if we don't have a regular client base, we can't make a living, we can't pay our rent, we can't survive, we can't eat, no, we can't do our work, and then we are no good to anyone. And it feeds into also our capacity for doing the work itself. Because if we are constantly stressed and under this pressure of not being able to have sustainable income, then that's just no good to anyone. How are we meant to be showing up for our clients if all that's going on for us is this constant pressure? Right? So it feeds back into the quality of our work, the way that we can hold space for others, but probably also, not probably, most certainly also, in how much we enjoy the work that we do. No, we do this probably out of a true passion for something, for supporting people, for the work, the practice, for whatever the modality is that you guys do. And when we get overwhelmed with all of the pressure that's behind it, then suddenly that work doesn't really nourish us anymore. We might even end up resenting it, the bit that we actually really, really, truly love. And we don't want to ever get into that place. And I'm saying this because I started to resent a little bit the work I do, or I was becoming aware that I was not really fully loving that work as much as I used to because of all of the stress and the pressures of the business side of things. So I also had to make quite a lot of changes around that. So here's what I wanted to talk about specifically today as the thing that really shifted things for me around this whole, I hate doing marketing. I just hate it. And the yuckiness and the pushiness and the just every quality of marketing that was just against my every fiber of my being and against all of my values and against all of my principles and against totally being trauma informed. Whereas now I would go as far as saying that there is a trauma informed way of doing marketing. And that is all rooted in finding your point of view, just for the sake of giving it a name, right? I didn't give it that name. My coach gave it that name, but it sounds again a little bit technical. But that is basically, it's your belief. It's what you truly, truly believe. It's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's the things that you have an opinion on. Because I'm pretty sure that you all have an opinion on stuff. And when I say stuff, I'm quite sure you all have an opinion on what is wrong out there in the world. And because of what is wrong out there in the world, that is probably why we do what we do, right? And I have never been a particularly rebellious kind of vocal person around all of the wrongdoings in the world as I was growing up. And that's probably to do also with my privilege to a degree, or, because I was just focusing on enjoying life and doing good things. And I was never too disadvantaged, I guess, maybe to be too rebellious about it. I 100% has something to do with it. Put my hand up on that. But that's not to say that I didn't actually have an opinion on things, right? And it was only through my work with one of my business and marketing coaches, and the greatest credit has to go to Tad Hargrave, and he's from Marketing for Hippies. You should check him out. He made me realize, or maybe just reminded me, or somehow pointed it out, that I do have an opinion about many things, in fact. And, this started around like yoga and the kind of yoga that is being taught out there in the world. And I call it the bikini yoga, and the Instagram yoga and all of that sort of stuff. I have a big opinion about all of this. I have an opinion about the systemic issue that is behind it, about the 200-hour teacher trainings when, everyone is kind of, you do an 18-day training and then you're like, okay, now go and hold space for highly traumatized people. Off you go. What, so you can see, like, right? So once you press the button, actually, I have pretty much, I have a lot of opinion about this. And through my coach, I realized, maybe it's about time to start naming the problems. Because what am I afraid of? Oh, yeah, some people might be pissed off. Good. Great. Go away. I don't want to work with you. You are not my ideal client whatsoever. If what I've got to say pisses you off, we are not a good match. We are not a good fit. Brilliant, right? But there is just as many people who are going to say, yes, thank you for saying it. What? And there will be a sigh of relief of, "Oh, finally, I've been thinking this the whole time and I just couldn't find the words for it, or I couldn't quite work out what the problem was. Thank you for making sense of it. Thank you for saying it. I want to work with you. I want more of this. I can trust you. I get you. I relate to you." And what do we need people to do when they make their decision to to work with us in the field that we are all in? They need to relate to us so that they have some small ounce of trust in us that we have the responsibility to continue to build, right? They're not going to trust us 100% at their first visit, clearly not. But there needs to be just something that gives them this possibility that maybe they could trust us. And what are they going to base that decision on? Well, on whatever they can find out about us, right? And so if we, wherever it is, in a blog post, in a podcast, on Instagram, on YouTube, on our website, on God knows where, you decide, I don't know, but have actually expressed some of our opinion and our take on things and how that has informed our approach and what's a yes and what is a hard no for us, then that will help that process, right? So marketing effectively is then all about lowering the risk. There are some other ways of lowering the risk, money back guarantee. Brilliant. So there's like other things that we could do around marketing that lowers the risk, but a fundamental piece is to be really visible and to not be holding back and to not only have all of these really general blah, blah, blah statements. Yeah, I read so many event descriptions. I also run a small studio, and so people send me information about what they do all the time, and I read it, and it's just so generic and just promising me, like a deep awakening. I don't know, something. I'm like, okay, well, what do I need that for? Thanks very much. I'm already awake. I just don't get it. It's just so generic and commonplace and just doesn't mean anything and does not speak to my pain at all whatsoever, right? So I think, if we can get to uh, really clarify what our take on stuff is, it will end up building trust and connection, but also sustainability. And I have to say a couple of things here. One is I make it sound a little bit easier than it really is. I mean, I've been doing this with my coach for, I don't know, I started with him in the end, I don't know, since the beginning of 2021. And I don't think I'm there yet. So this is like 4 years down the line. I can be really painful. There is a lot to sit with. It's a little bit like therapy, really kind of drilling down to the depth of it. And it continuously changes. And yeah, it's a lot of work, right? But we can get started at least. And this is also to do with the long game. This is not about the quick results. This is about building your audience. This is about building that community, the people that already trust you, to maybe trust you enough to join your mailing list. I think building a mailing list is the most powerful tool. So everything else that you do out there on all of the other platforms should think about it. It's actually a really good point. It's not really about getting them to sign up. It's more about leading them to your mailing list because only once they're on your mailing list, they trust you enough to really make that purchase or to really book. It's like, or they are most likely. So this is about really the long game. That is not to say that once we've actually got a really warm and good feeling kind of community and are present with, point of view and with our content and all of that, that from time to time we can't do a bit of good hustle, that's fine. But even the hustle can be trauma informed. Okay. I'm hustling like crazy at the moment to fill my membership because I have this particular offer on at the moment and it ends this Sunday. And, so in a way, I'm also hustling, but I've invited you to a free webinar, whether you want to join that membership or not. I don't care. There is no pressure. You did not get sucked into like a funnel. You did not get signed up to my newsletter automatically. Most of you are already on it, but that's by the by. So those of you who are not on my list already, you did not automatically, without your consent, get added to my newsletter. Do you see what I mean? So there is one way of doing it, another way of doing it. And there'll be a lot of marketing coaches out there that will say that, well, then good luck to you. You'll never get anyone because that's not how you do marketing. Okay, fine. But I stand by that. It's just not my thing. So, um, I reckon that you all have an opinion about stuff because you wouldn't be here otherwise. You wouldn't be doing what you do. So maybe we can do a little exercise. I'll give you a couple of prompts and I won't give you enough time right now to really go to the nth degree. So go ahead and sit more with it later this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow, on the weekend, whenever. But we can get started. So it's the bigger why, I call it. This is a good starting point, something to think about. What is your bigger why? So think as big as I want to make the world a better place with the work I do. Okay. And some of you, and this is really, really valid and really important also, the bigger why might be evolving a lot around your personal story because whatever it is that you offer really saved you and it helped your own pain. And I don't want you to let go of it at all because that is what got you here. And it's important also because it means that you can really relate to people who go through something similar. And that builds trust too. And for the purpose of this exercise, try to step a little bit out. So, just as an example, let's say you are a yoga teacher because yoga helped you so much with your really serious back pain, and you just really want to share that with others. Okay. So, can you step out and think about, in the context of the problems in the world and the state of the world, Why are there so many people with back pain? Why are we all in so much pain in the first place? Do you see what I mean? Just as an example. So you can pick your own kind of story. So why, in the bigger picture, is it that you do this work? What does the world need more of that you are contributing to? And what really breaks your heart? What do you want to see instead? So while you reflect a little bit on that, and I do invite you to start writing things down. And so here's my kind of tip when you try to get to these things. It's like pick an impossible number like 100. So write down 100 big whys, 100 ways of saying it. It might feel like, oh my God, how can I possibly say this in 100 different ways? But that is how it's eventually going to come out. That is how you eventually come to the nice, sweet statement that's going to be the new headline for your next blog article. So you might not get to 100 today or right now. That's okay. So that's why sit with it also a bit later and keep going with this. I'll give you a little bit more time right now. I remember doing this exercise at some point, and I couldn't find it because I have so many notebooks with this, but I ended up somewhere with this whole thing, with the statement somehow around that your perfectly normal and nice yoga class really is not for everyone, or it's not even for most people. Or like if you're just a normal person, the normal yoga class is not for you. Something along those lines, because I just sort of got so far down this whole thing where I ended up with a point of view that the normal person is already so dysregulated and has so many issues and so much pain that your normal yoga class is already not really the right place for you, which of course is, there's something wrong with the system that most yoga classes don't cater for the normal person. Never mind the people who actually have a problem and know about their problems. So this is not the right wording of it, but at the time I ended up with a kind of really nice punchy statement, and I think I remember doing a newsletter for it around it, and yeah, just as an example. Right. So I don't know how this feels and lands for you. I wonder whether anyone wants to maybe share one or two of their bigger whys. You can put them in the chat or feel free to turn your sound on. Be nice to see why we're doing this work. Why are we all here? Somebody feel brave to share maybe one? Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
Um, I haven't actually written anything for the bigger why and the why I do this work. I think I need to sit on that because I couldn't find the words for it, which is crazy because as soon as you asked the other two questions, it came straight away. So, what does the world need more of? I was thinking about my world and the people that come to me to my classes. The world needs more rest, more choice, more presence, vulnerability, more connection, more support. And what breaks my heart, the ridiculous posts about pushing and striving and being told that you're not doing enough if you're not doing gym workouts 4 times a week and pushing 150 kilos or whatever it is. Um, so yeah, that's what breaks my heart when it's my class is the weird class in the studio because it's the slow somatics, Feldenkrais kind of weird stuff. Um, yeah, so that's breaks my heart that people are kind of going to the hardcore movement classes and then coming to me because they've got bad backs and bad knees and bad shoulders because they did a yoga class that, yeah.
Yeah, they just need to keep doing enough of the other yoga, right? Then
Yeah.
you'll never run out of clients. Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So this is great. So it breaks your heart how we are being pushed and pushed and pushed for performance so much. So take that statement and then drill down
Mm.
further. So why is it? Like what's going on? Where is this coming from that we are being pushed so much? One, what is what does that feel like? What does that really do? Right? So when we are being pushed and pushed and pushed, life feels duck, 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 duck. What does that, what's the impact? What is the impact this has? So this stuff matters. So that's another way of asking the question, why does this matter? Who
Mm.
cares? Right? Why does this matter? Who cares? I was literally just thinking, oh, I'll just make a note of it. You will get one follow-up email from me. Apologies, but only with like a few more prompts for these questions so you can continue with a little bit of the reflection if you like. So I will just send those out because there are other ways of then either starting the question or whatever is on your list, you pick that topic and then drill down into that. Yeah. Does somebody else feel like they want to share one more? Okay, actually, I have a motto, but I've been told it's not good. Um, Empowering silenced voices. I work with voice and body as a music therapist with a psychotherapeutic model and biodynamic massage as body psychotherapy. I am also a singer and have taught voice, speech, and singing for more than 20 years. That sounds amazing. It's not good. Okay, who told you it's not good? No, so it's empowering silenced voices. Um, I think that's a really strong statement. Um, Somebody did pick me up on the word empowering once, and it can be, I need to reflect back on that, what that word might also imply. It was interesting. It has a dynamic and a nuance that might be a little bit off your actual message. You can maybe feel into that a little bit. Um, because I can't, you already have the power, right? So, like, who are you to give somebody the power in a way, right? So, it's, yeah, but giving the silenced voices a voice and waking that silenced voice, letting that silenced voice speak, letting that silenced voice be expressed. There are so many ways I think that you mean it, and it's about finding the right language on that. Um, and again, so why are so many voices being silenced? Where is this
Yes.
coming from? And what does that
Oh,
mean?
yes,
What is
mine
the
was silent.
impact?
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see whether this relates to also a particular group of people that you work with.
Hmm.
That is, it can be victims of something, or it can be women, or it can be men, it can be any small groups of people that have gone through a particular
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
experience. And what is the systemic issue there as to why these people don't have a voice? Why they're not? unable to speak or allowed to speak, or why do they not feel the power to speak, right? So yeah, amazing, amazing work. So, but yeah, that there's a lot to say about that. And I'm quite sure you're doing this kind of
About
work
it.
because you have
Yeah,
a
think about it.
strong
I think
opinion.
it's really the word empowering that was my thought too, because it sounds a bit pretentious at the same time.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Thank you.
And so that's the other reason why, it seems really ridiculous to like write this down in 100 different ways. But that is how you get to maybe just that word that lands differently. Because you have to dig so deep, it will hopefully at some point come out of the body. Right? Yeah. And the other thing is that we all use big words these days, right? They have almost been overused to the point that they've lost their authenticity. This is the other problem. So, what do we actually really mean by all of these big words? So, when we start using them, we need to be really clear. Yeah. Amazing. One more? I don't know. We have a little bit of time. The the Rina, yeah, go for it.
Yes, I try to find it in English now. Like what my aim is, or what my why is, to um, be in contact with the body and coming back, like in the connection to the body. And because I have like knew this body work, and the other thing is mm, becoming or finding my connection, or the connection from people to death and our mortality.
Mm.
And yeah, what is like for me the thing, what's like the what is breaking my heart is not like when it's for the death thing, when it's such a taboo. Then I'm giving away so much of my responsibility and my contact to it, and I give it like to people away. And my wish is that we are more in contact with death, and because I mean, in my body, the death is lying. I mean, I only have this body because it's going to die. So there, it comes like together, and yeah, I wish more people would be like really in contact with the mortality, with like the aliveness and also mortality of this body.
This is really strong stuff. I mean, I think you said I only have this body because it's going to die. That's like that definitely has my attention, right? So
Yeah.
this is for sure an article, and could be like really the centerpiece of your work. Sit with that, drill down, find lots of different ways of saying that, so that you really get to the meaning of what that really means. Life means death. We live this life because there is death. I don't know. So as you're reframing it, we're not. It's not because it's not that we are alive despite death. We are. We can't avoid death. All of these things, all of these myths that we might believe, it's actually the other way around. And you can have some really strong statements there. I like that. Before that, you said it's about a lot of the things that you do is about that connection to the body. I use the word connection a lot because I think it's the thing that we really need a lot more of. But you need to back this up, because it sort of is like, oh yeah, like that would be nice to feel more connected with my body, but I can do that other ways. I don't need to pay you however much to come for a massage. It's, you know. But if you said something around how we live in this world of disconnect and what that does to our well-being, our nervous system, to our capacity to navigate life and the world around us, that we're being conditioned to be isolated and individualists and all of these kind of things, all of the things that are actually wrong in the world that are causing the pain, that disconnect, right? Because we live in this world of disconnect. Then I'm like, oh yeah, you are so right. And that is part of my pain. And I do want to feel my body more. I do want to come back into connection with my body. Then that makes
Mm.
sense. So you
Mhm.
drill down into what is actually going on. So keep thinking really big, stepping out. What is wrong in the world? So that's kind of like a good way. You can drill down. There's lots of different layers to it, but I think as a starting point, this is really helpful for us because we might just be a little bit sort of stuck in the small picture. And we're also conditioned to think small. So that's why we stay in that space. So now step out, zoom out. You're playing a really important part in this world with the work that you do. Don't forget that.
And your idea is to like name the problems, and then like if I, for example, for the website or whatever, I name the problems and then I give like my answer.
Yeah, I want to know what you think about this. And it
Mm.
could be on the website, or it could be a blog article, or it can be, so here's what I want you all to do, or if you want to do it, no? But out of all of the things that you are randomly writing down on pieces of paper, you pick 2 or 3 topics, right? Like the things that you go, actually, this is like, this is something that I can drill into. This is giving me like goosebumps when I start thinking about it. Pick those topics. But then do start to think about what are your preferred formats. Some of you will be really happy to write something, right? And you could send it out to your mailing list or to as a blog article, submit it in the old days. I submitted articles to actual printed paper magazines. Remember those times? I don't know. Maybe you find it much easier instead of like spending hours writing to just sort of put a phone there, switch the camera on and kind of go blah, 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 blah. Maybe it's like a webinar that I decided to do. I could have just done all of this somehow differently, right? But I decided to host a webinar, or you could host a panel talk. Maybe there are other people that would have something interesting to say about this topic, and you host a whole conversation of 5 or 6 different facilitators. Maybe you think about, I don't know, whatever, like think about your format. It does not always have to be Instagram. Maybe it inspired you to do an Instagram post tomorrow. Okay? But what could you pick that you could actually publish somewhere tomorrow? So I don't want this to be like a 3-month mission or to publish like something or to share your opinion on something. Then it's already kind of a bit too much. You have this opinion. Stand for it, share it somehow, somewhere tomorrow. Go for it. See what happens.
It's funny that you say that because I think about that and then I say no. It's all the time like that.
Right? So make it simple. Now I said, okay, go and think big like this, and then just pick one thing, pick one channel. It doesn't have to be shiny. It doesn't have to have branding. It doesn't have to have, I don't know, God knows what. Share it. Find a way to share it tomorrow. If you then want to brag about it and tell me, I would love to know, obviously. I'd love to know your story. But yeah, that's step number one. The other one is, I don't know, maybe there is something else that, when we kind of have these kind of conversations, it also sometimes inspires other thoughts. It's like, you know what? I really want to be doing X, Y, and Z. It's not about like specifically developing your point of view, but it could have just sort of inspired you like, actually, I really want to start a blog. But that means you need to find a platform, and you need to do a little bit of research on how one creates a blog, or whether you want to be on Substack or, whatever all these platforms are called. I don't really know. But so the one thing that you can try this week, thank you, Fiona, lovely to see you. So the one thing that you might want to do this week could be, researching the platform, or it could be just this other thing. So also sit a little bit after this webinar about what's the one thing I really want to try this week? Not tomorrow, but for the rest of the week, this week, you've got 7 days, to somehow get started on this. It could be, I will also in the follow-up email send you the list of all of the coaches that I follow. It could be, just kind of reading somebody else's content on this or something. I don't know, whatever inspired you. So those are my kind of two little pieces of homework for you. So yeah, in my mind, authentic visibility starts with the point of view and that bigger why. And it's interesting, Katie, you already mentioned this kind of, the importance of rest. So here is another example. We'll just stay on the yoga. It doesn't matter what modality, So what would resonate more with you? A post saying, hey, I teach yoga on Saturday, join. Or why rest is radical and why I make it the center of my classes. Join me on Saturday. Yeah, some people will go like, rest, yeah, whatever, no thanks. I want to go play tennis. No problem, but you really will not be right in my class anyway. But to put the word radical and rest together, for example, is already like going to catch somebody's attention. Oh, okay.
I do teach a radical rest workshop every couple of months. So I feel like I'm halfway there.
Yes, I like it.
I've got
I
the
love it.
name.
Very good. Yes. And this is the other thing. Some of you might feel like, yeah, but you need to also be really good with words and all of this. So yeah, that's another area where you could investigate how you can get support with, finding all of the language and doing the copywriting. It's a big thing, no, for sure. I'm not always that good with words. It's like ever so often, it's like, radical rest, yes. But for sure, it's not so easy. So yeah. And then to finish, I want to share one more top tip around kind of collecting these things. And this is more on the smaller scale, the simple scale. If you feel like actually it'd be really nice to share more my point of view and more content. I think the perfect ratio would be about 95% of all of your marketing efforts is around sharing your point of view and your content. 5% is like promotion. I'm not quite there at that ratio yet myself, but I try. No, so it depends a little bit on what I've got going on. But there's something to bear in mind, something to aim for. Something really helpful is to have old-fashioned style little notebook. By all means, use your phone or whatever, always with you, because I bet you, this is the other thing that you can do, that every day you have a whole bunch of conversations where there is an interesting piece of content hidden in the conversation. Because a conversation is an exchange of opinion, isn't it? In somewhere or another. Or somebody else says something and you go like, okay, interesting. Like I would have a client, they sit down on the futon for the treatment and they sort of be slumped over. I didn't say anything. I didn't have a funny look in my face or anything at all. They just sat there on the floor. And then with no prompt, he went, oh yeah, sorry, I should be sitting straight, my posture, Sorry about that. I should be sitting really straight, really, shouldn't I? And I'm like, who said that? I mean, like, your spine isn't one bone, is it? If you were meant to sit straight all the time, it would just be one long bone. It'd be much simpler. Like the spine has a curve in it. So, I mean, I'm just saying, right? And I was just being a bit funny and a bit flippant. I know this client quite well, so I could tease him a little bit, no? But then he looked at me going, "Oh, you're so wise. you always say these really wise things. And I'm like, I mean, that was not so wise, was it? But okay, you write that down because that is a brilliant piece of content for wherever you want to share it, right? Your opinion about the sitting straight and all that kind of stuff. If you have an opinion, I mean, I have an opinion about it, but no. So, but you will forget about these stories if you don't write them down, and they happen to you all day long, all day long. It could even be like something that you observe at the neighboring table, or some other people even having a conversation about something that you just happen to overhear, or I don't know, an incident on the bus, or all this. There's so many stories all the time. So I will send one follow-up email, I promise, only one, but just with a little summary of all of the things that you can now do tomorrow, this week, and maybe further down the line. And I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much again for joining my impromptu idea of coming together, having a chat about how we can be more visible without it feeling all yucky. And yeah, those of you who actually share something tomorrow on your channels, I would really, 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 really love to know. So yeah, get in touch. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.